Why do some people return stronger after facing failure, while others crumble and never try again? This is a question of interpretation. It is not a simple matter of willpower, but a question of how one interprets and gives meaning to reality itself. This is the most fundamental question. Without understanding it, we remain trapped in repetitive patterns of behavior. While many see success as an external result, it is actually driven by an internal mindset that dictates every action. This internal way of thinking creates behaviors that, when repeated, ultimately determine the final outcomes of our lives. Winners do not possess special abilities. They simply interpret and respond to the same situation differently than others. Over time, this subtle difference in perspective creates a massive gap between those who succeed and those who do not. In our modern society, intense competition has created an atmosphere that is increasingly intolerant of any form of failure. People tend to expand a single failure into a reflection of their entire self-worth, which is a dangerous and limiting trend. Social media often highlights only the results of success, completely omitting the difficult and necessary process of failing. This leads us to view failure as an exceptional event, causing greater frustration when we inevitably face it ourselves. Many stop challenging themselves not because of a lack of talent, but because they interpret failure emotionally rather than logically. When this emotional interpretation repeats, one loses trust in their own potential and simply stops moving forward in life. We often focus too much on short-term results, blinded to the long-term growth possibilities that lie ahead of us. This short-term focus makes us change our direction too easily after even the smallest of setbacks or failures. Psychological and behavioral economic studies confirm that successful people view failure as an inherent part of the process. They do not see it as a personal problem, but as a necessary component of the journey towards their ultimate goal. This demonstrates just how much our internal way of thinking influences the final results of our greatest endeavors. Ultimately, the problem is not failure itself, but the specific way in which we choose to interpret that failure. Unless we change this interpretation, we will continue to produce the same results in every situation we face. The core insight is clear. Winners do not control the situation, they control how they interpret the situation. This interpretation changes our behavior, and our behavior is what eventually creates the results we seek. Successful people view failure as data, not as an endpoint, allowing them to iterate and improve constantly. They see problems not as obstacles, but as signals that tell them which direction they should take next. This perspective is what makes sustained action possible, even when the path ahead becomes increasingly difficult. The winner's mindset can be organized into 3 distinct pillars that define their approach to life and work. The first pillar is a process-centric attitude, focusing on the journey rather than being obsessed with the result. The second pillar is the ability to transform every failure into a valuable learning opportunity for the future. The final pillar is a long-term perspective, viewing current difficulties through the lens of a larger journey. Within this structure, short-term fluctuations cannot change your direction. They only build a stronger base. In contrast, most people judge themselves solely by results, interpreting failure as a permanent personal limitation. As a result, they stop challenging themselves, believing that their lack of talent is the reason for their failure. The difference is not talent, but interpretation. The moment this changes, your actions and results will follow. Let us look at a specific case, an entrepreneur who experienced a major failure in his very first business. While many would have given up, he chose to interpret the failure as a strategic error, not a lack of talent. Instead of feeling defeated, he began to analyze what went wrong and started collecting data for his next move. Through this process, he adjusted his direction for the next challenge, turning a loss into a foundation. His second attempt also faced significant difficulties, but he did not give up. He continued to improve steadily. Finally, on his third attempt, he succeeded in creating a stable and successful result in his business ventures. This success did not happen because his talent improved, but because his interpretation of failure had changed. This illustrates just how vital it is to choose the right way of thinking when facing life's greatest challenges. The message is simple but powerful. Victory is not a single result, but the accumulation of a process. We must stop obsessing over results and instead adopt a mindset that maintains and values the journey itself. To do this, we must have an attitude of utilizing failure rather than fearing it as something to avoid. You must create a structure where you continuously correct and refine your actions based on what you learn. What matters is not a single success, but growing in a way that is repeatable and sustainable over time. When this repetition accumulates, stable and meaningful results will naturally begin to appear in your life. Ultimately, Life is determined not by what you experience, but by how you choose to interpret it. It is this internal interpretation that sets the direction and creates the path for your entire future journey. The changes you will gain from this video are very specific and can be applied to your daily life immediately. First, you will shift from viewing failure as an emotion to viewing it as valuable data for your next attempt. This shift creates a solid foundation that allows you to continue your journey without being discouraged. Second, you will shift from a result-oriented mindset to a process-oriented one, strengthening your consistency. Consistency is the engine of success, and a process focus ensures that this engine never stops running. Finally, your ability to interpret difficulties as new opportunities will be significantly and visibly enhanced. This will greatly increase the stability of your life and open up new possibilities for your personal growth. Winners are not exceptional people in special situations. They are those who interpret common situations differently. When this interpretation is repeated over time, the final results will be completely and undeniably different. So instead of asking, "Why did I fail?" start asking, "What is this failure trying to tell me right now?" Because when your question changes, your interpretation changes, and when your interpretation changes, your life changes. We have already tried to avoid failure many times. Now is the time to start utilizing failure as a tool for growth. Let us be a little smarter with our next failure. If we do, it will no longer be a failure but almost a success. Explore this journey deeper with Dr. Jongmoon Ko's Humanities, where we delve into the true depth of human thought. Please subscribe and like to continue this exploration of the mind and nourish your soul for a very long time. I always wish you the best on your journey of growth and discovery. May you find meaning in every challenge you face. Remember, the way you see the world is the world you will ultimately create for yourself and those around you. Thank you for joining me in this masterclass. I look forward to seeing the incredible path you will build from here. Connect with our community using the following hashtags: success mindset, self-improvement, growth strategy, motivation, overcoming failure, and consistency. You can explore further by searching for successful thinking, failure overcoming, growth mindset, self-development strategy, maintaining consistency, and success habits. For further inquiries or collaborations, I am Jongmoon Ko, also known as James Ko. You can reach me via email at k90391198@gmail.com. That email address again is k903-91198@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Your support allows us to continue creating content that matters and makes a difference. Thank you once again. I will see you in our next exploration of human thought and potential. Stay inspired and keep growing. The journey toward wisdom never truly ends. It only takes on new forms as we continue to grow and learn together. This concludes our session on the winner's mindset. May your path be clear and your interpretation be wise. Goodbye for now.